When Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo opened proceedings for Fashion Week Summer 2016, the Eiffel Tower took on a celebratory hue. Moments later at the iconic Trocadero, politics, business, and design came together to recognize what the city does best.
Paris is an advertisement for fashion. I think that's wonderful because all of a sudden you realize just how much the city is the fashion capital of the world.
And to make sure that message was crystal clear to the hordes of journalists, buyers, and fashion devotees attending the event, the slogan organizers went for was La mode aime Paris, fashion loves Paris. Is this a typical Paris evening?
French. It's French.
It's a good idea to say French rather than Parisian.
I hate that obsession with all that's Parisian. I just love the whole of France.
But there's no denying the world's best fashion schools, luxury labels, and savoir-faire are in Paris. The industry directly employs some 60,000 people in the capital.
It's a fight for employment, an economic battle, a push to be an attractive place to do business, and of course I care a lot about how attractive my city is. But we've got a lot going for us. We have all the designers, all the big fashion houses, and we're home to all those big names who've inspired today's contemporary designers.
For foreign labels wanting to make it on the international market, passing through Paris is a must. Tuomas Marikoski from Finland was chosen as one of Italian Vogue's group of up-and-coming young talent. But it's here in Paris he chose to present his collection. He created his label Aalto, which translates as The Wave, in 2014. Think minimalist design with quirky details. Nehera is a Hungarian label that enjoyed notoriety in the 1930s. Relaunched by Samuel Jura, its collection revels in a delicate aesthetic with the help of beautifully worked fabrics. Born in China, educated in London, and now working in Paris, Yang Li is a global citizen. His collection explores feelings of displacement and looks at the difficulties of integrating into new communities.
I think most people these days are quite, they're touching, they have their feet in many different countries, and the world is getting smaller, so I think, you know, I'm a mélanger.
Paris Fashion Week is renowned for shows in which designers allow their sartorial imaginations to run wild. The Jacquemus show was a poetic performance with more than a nod to surrealist influences. Dali, Calder, and Picasso would surely have approved.
It's my obsession to tell a story with clarity, but also with an eye towards the cinematography of it all. I don't just want my show to be about the models.
Fashion can be understood as a convergence of different ideas and historical moments. Dries Van Noten references the 1940s with a splash of the 50s and more than a bit of the 1980s. As for the soundtrack, he went for 90s hits, followed by the Balanescu Quartet and Kraftwerk.
It's for a woman who's daring, flamboyant, who likes to mix things up. She has a very sophisticated side, but she's also got quite a raw side to her too. That's what interests me.
One big trend making waves from the start of Fashion Week, something the French are calling wording. Words, phrases, and slogans adorning pretty much any garment you can think of, but it's not entirely a new concept.
My first printed words were from The Difficulty of Being by Jean Cocteau. The question was, what are you feeling, Mr. Fontenelle? The dying man's response was, I feel a great difficulty in simply being.
And each other, they're reworking quotes from British artist Robert Montgomery.
We really wanted to use these words and to use a material that would really work with Hack the System. We went with leather.
So, a motto to conclude?
In the fire of each other.
Fashion is a constant quest for balance or disruption between silhouette, color, and material. Japanese label Anrealage is particularly interested in what new technology can bring to the table. Thanks to the light-sensitive fabrics used here, depending on the angle, your dress can be either white or colorful. It's a fashion that embraces technology but also philosophy, because as people, we're always evolving.
The philosophy is where it starts. Technique comes after the philosophy. He needs technology to enable him to express his philosophy.
As for the standout look for next summer, it's simple. Legs, legs, and more legs. And nowhere was that more abundantly clear than at Anthony Vaccarello.
The girls felt great. They brought that sexiness, not necessarily the clothes. It's more about the attitude of the girls who were happy to be here.
At the heart of the Forum des Halles, a show open to the public, Kocher decided to shed new light on the trend of the decade, athleisure, a way of introducing a little understated glamour into our everyday wardrobes. The brand calls itself street couture.
We crocheted tulle and plastic. We combined it with silk and nylon, and that's how we made this dress, like a sculpture.
And while luxury ready-to-wear is out of reach for many of us, there's nothing to stop us being inspired.